You got problems. You need to get straight. You need a therapist. You know what you need? You need a therapist.
From there.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey, best friend.
How you doing? I keep forgetting we're fucking recording visual. I like forgot that for that split moment again. Anyway,
Get it together, bitch. Because I don't need you acting crazy on here showing your titties or something and
and
forgetting.
do. I look like a bum right now too. I might have to
Girl, we
show some
both
titties.
do, honestly. Shit is getting rough over here. Shit's getting crazy over here in the neck of the woods at You Need a Therapist Pod. We are in transition mode right now.
I got a different background every time we record.
Girl, like if you see boxes in the background, if you just see us really struggling to keep shit together, it's a reason for that. We are both in the process of moving right now. So, like
hmm
I asked y'all last week, please bear with us. Please be patient with us. We are trying our best, bitch. I am barely hanging on. Today I had to throw a little bit of self care in there because your girl was like, whew, balance. I
Mm.
went and got me a massage by this old black man named Charles, and Charles rubbed the hell out of my feet. I just want to say my feet ain't been rubbed like that in a very long time.
Mm.
Um, he came through, and I gave him a good tip because,
Mm. What
child,
kind of tip you giving?
not that kind of tip, bitch.
Mm.
I am not a whore. At least not like that. um, but yeah, I had to put some self care in there because, girl, I feel like burnout can happen at any moment now, and I'm trying to prevent that. So
Mm.
yes, um,
Girl. Anyway, so you went to the Roots picnic. How was that?
the Roots picnic was a blast. I had a good time. So first day was kind of crazy. Like it was so many people. Like the lines. This and first of all, this is my first festival. This I have not really been to a music festival, so I really kind of had some idea of what to expect, but I didn't know what I was fully getting into. And so, yeah, it was just extremely crowded. The lines were really long. Like to get food, it was like an hour and some change. To get drinks, it's kind of long. And the first day, they did not have their shit together. Everything was starting late. Like they were completely behind schedule.
Mm.
We were on Twitter, and people that had got VIP was complaining, saying that there was no point in VIP because the general population could get into the VIP section.
What?
Like the security wasn't checking wristbands and shit like that. So the first day wasn't that great. Jasmine Sullivan got on to perform. Love her, but the sound was jacked up. Like she got on to start singing, we couldn't hear her when she opened up her mouth. We could not hear her.
Not
Um,
Jasmine.
Girl, people was pissed because when Jasmine come through, like we stand,
I need to hear.
like
Oh,
girl, gotta stop getting fucked up.
yeah,
What if when she sang that part, nobody could hear her, and we was like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
we just was mad, and we were all the way in the back. We didn't get close enough, like
You
seats
don't
or
need to be
whatever.
that close.
You really don't, and because they got the screens and stuff, but didn't even know she had background singers because they mic was fucked up.
Oh
And she
my
was like, "Can
god.
y'all hear my background singers?" We was like, "No!" Like the crowd was literally telling her, "Like, no, we can't hear them." Didn't know Miss Gladys and them was up there singing.
Not Miss
That was
Gladys.
her name. That's what she said.
Oh,
She said, "Y'all can't hear Miss Gladys' beautiful voice over here singing."
oh my
Girl, he scared
god.
the hell out.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Say hey, boo.
Follow at PD Pablo Kitty.
Kitty Paulo Kitty. Gang gang.
Throw his name up there.
But yeah, but outside of that, so the second day was much better. And then so the first night, that night there was a shooting in the area in
Oh
Philly
yeah,
when they
yeah,
had
yeah,
that
yeah.
shooting. And so it was not near the park where the festival was at, but it happened around the same time that the festival got let out. We didn't know until we got back to our Airbnb that there had been a shooting. The shooting was actually closer to our Airbnb than the park. And so that's always
In
scary.
West Philadelphia, born and
And we
raised.
were literally in West Philly. So,
Oh, child.
yeah. So that's always scary, when shit like that happens. And so, of course, the following day, we were definitely on high alert. There was more. I'm not gonna say more police presence because there was a lot of police yet the day before, but you just seen them throughout the festival more. Where the first day they were just kind of like on the perimeter, but the second day they were actually walking around,
Working.
yeah, working essentially, yeah. Um, but we left early because of that. Like we were like, I don't want to be out here looking for no Uber when everybody is leaving all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So America, um,
This is America.
right? But overall, we had a great time. I absolutely love the experience of being around so many Black people
Hmm.
and it being good. Like it was like we was like, even though we didn't know each other, like everybody was like, yeah, sis. We were looking at other girls' outfits and just it was like a camaraderie, and I really enjoyed that. The crowd was older; it was like maybe 25 up, so everybody was chill with no rah rah or nothing like that, and I really loved it.
Maybe we need to go to Essence Festival because the old folks be out for that
The old heads be out that essence, and low key, that's the vibe right now, friend. We ain't
in
on
New
that.
Orleans.
We ain't on that look if you buck no more. We with the grown and sexy crew now, friend. We got to go to the Essence Fest. Like that might be the move, honestly.
Girl, I went out for I was my sister's DD this weekend because she graduated from college. Hey, what's up,
Hey,
Lex?
shout out to Legs.
Mm-hmm. She graduated. Was it cum laude? Child. Mm-hmm.
One of them smart things that I don't know, and shout
Mm-hmm.
out to your sister for being smart and beautiful and black.
I know. Thank you. Yes.
Mm.
I want to do great things. Anyway, she had her graduation party this weekend, so I drove down to South Carolina to
Bang
go
bang.
celebrate. It was so beautiful. I cried. I hadn't seen my other sister in I don't know how long, girl. Well, partially I blame it on my hormones because I think I'm supposed to be menstruating next week, but
Can we
that's
talk
another.
about that because that same thing literally happened to me. My baby cousin
Mm-hmm.
graduated high school, and when I FaceTimed her to congratulate her, when I got off the phone, bitch, I cried like a baby. I'm like, this is my baby. Like, what the hell is happening? She graduated. She just such a sweet girl, and I'm like,
Yeah.
the feels. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yes. All my
We're,
siblings are like sweet and loving. My brother, he a knucklehead, but I love him, child.
isn't
But
it crazy? Like how we getting like things are changing. Like the babies are not the babies no more,
they
and
not.
like
I saw so many people that I haven't seen in so long, and there was this other girl I had not seen her. Like I feel old when I say this. I ain't seen him since he was this little. But it's the truth. I ain't seen her since she was this little. So when she was like Raven, it's like, girl, who are you?
it is happening, bitch. We are in process of getting like old, like, and I'm not dissing it. I'm embracing it, and
Oh
I
yeah.
love it, and I
Mhm.
love this transition. But it's like when I see my baby graduate, like I had to call her mama, and I'm like, I am not okay. Are you okay? She said, "Girl, I'm just not getting my shit together." She cried at the graduation the whole time. I'm like, what
Yeah.
is this feeling? I am not accustomed to this. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I had to be, well, I didn't have to be, but I chose to be like my sister's Dee for
Mm.
her friends and our cousins or whatever. And girl, when I tell you it's not my crowd. And why was I was standing in a line to a club. Ask me when the last time I stood in a line to get into a club. I said, Lex, this is for you and only you. I was like, you don't know nobody that know nobody that we could get in.
That we can get in and get the hook up with, honey. Like, come
Child,
on.
I should have slid to the front, but I was the only one who had heels on. I was the only
Girl.
one who was essentially dressed up. Everybody else had on sandals.
You were
Like
probably highly overdressed,
I was
especially
overdressed.
in Greenville, girl, because we know how Greenville get down.
Yes,
No
I was
shade.
definitely overdressed. But she had a good time. She got fucked up, child.
Mm.
But I was able to get her home safely.
Honestly,
And
that's all it's about. She had a good time. She deserved.
absolutely.
She worked hard.
hmm So she'll be down in Atlanta in August.
Mm-hmm.
Officially. Oh, my baby's growing up. And then my brother balling his ass off in basketball and got college girls looking at him. I said, nigga, slow the
EO.
fuck
First
down.
of all, EO, and them girls need to. They going to jail. They
You're
will
going
go
to
to
jail.
jail, straight to jail.
That's racist. Anyway,
No,
um,
you ain't ever seen that little clip with the little man. I think he like a Pakistan man or something. That he be like, if you do like a traffic violation, you run the red light, straight to jail. You jaywalk, right to jail. It's a
oh,
whole video. That shit hilarious.
you gotta send it to me. But anyways, yeah, that's what's been going on.
Other than that, how was your mental? Are you good? Are you
Oh,
straight?
that part. Well, I took all last week off, honestly, to get my house prepped. I was gonna go into work, but I woke up one day and I said, I got too much shit to do. I'm not coming into work all week. Sorry to you.
Sorry to that man.
I gotta
Mm,
get my life together, and plus, y'all gotta get accustomed for me not being there anyway. So might as well start
mm.
now.
Might
Ciao.
as well start
Mm,
somewhere.
mm.
It's no time like the present.
Now, ciao. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, me taking that week off, I felt a whole lot better. Didn't feel as rushed, especially I was like, I'm trying to make it to my sister's graduation, spend some time with her. I've been
Mm.
running down the goddamn streets because I feel like I just drove to DC. Like you too, you went from DC to Philly, on
That's why
from
I'm saying, bitch, I
it's
am
too
barely
much.
hanging on. I got to go to Baltimore this weekend. I had to
Yeah.
work this past weekend, and then this upcoming weekend, I'm going to Baltimore to go house hunting. Like, it
Mm-mm.
has literally been nonstop. That's why I said I'm hanging on by a thread, bitch. Make sure you do your self care. Like, you really got to stay balanced during these busy times
You're right.
because it's easy to burn out. Like,
Absolutely.
meditate, read, do something, take a bubble bath, do something,
Mm.
shit, whatever, do something. Cause bitch,
Get some dick.
I did that too.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Shit, you do whatever. Hey,
Yeah.
that's self care.
Can we speak about how being single, you the consistent or inconsistency of having sex,
We can
the
speak
sex.
to it. We can speak to it. I think that that's honestly dependent on the individual because there is sex to be had, there is sex to be gotten, and we are beautiful women. So if we want the sex, that is easier. Like that is the easy part is choosing, you
Who to
know.
have the sex with?
Yeah, there we have it. Yeah.
Mm,
Because
that
it's single women, single people in general that have very active sex lives.
they
I
be out here
think
fucking.
so. That's dependent on the individual. So if
Mm,
you want to be out here, you could be out here.
you
Just
right.
saying.
You right.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
Moving on. Very well.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and move on to this unpack this. What you got for us this week, friend? Because I damn sure ain't read it. Sorry.
Oh shit. Hold on. Child. What do I got for us this week?
Y'all see this big tall ass wine glass I got? And I tell you, I be filling that thing up to up
Mm.
here.
Oh my god. I'm choking on my spit.
Girl, get it
Mm,
together. Mm-mm.
okay. All righty. Let's unpack this shit now, child. I've realized that I have a huge fear, anxiety surrounding other people's potentially negative or skewed perception of me. When something happens that causes me to feel anxious, i.e., I've done something that either was straight up dumb, embarrassing, or especially just something that I feel might have been taken the wrong way, which I didn't mean, or even just, oh my gosh, this is a run on sentence. I feel might have been taken the wrong way, which I didn't mean, or even just after important interviews or whatnot, where I may not been as eloquent as I like. I feel really out of control, and I think I ruminate on what I've said, done over and over as an attempt to get some level of self control back. Of course, this never actually works, though, and leaves me feeling worse and more fixated on my anxiety. Does anyone have any guidance or resources on how to really dig deep to the core of this, to integrate it and heal this, and to basically stop giving a fuck about how others view me? Also, would you call this people pleasing? Please let me know your take. Please let me know your take on what this sounds like because I need to understand what this behavior actually is.
Oh my God. Okay. I don't know. I want
So,
you to start.
all right. I don't know either. So let me think about it. So this person is so fixated on the perception of how people view them. How do you just not give a fuck? I don't let's see.
I think it comes because this is difficult. And that's one of the things that a lot of people say but can't really do. It's much easier said than done, right? Because I
Mhm.
can say all day that I don't give a fuck, but at the end of the day, if I adjust my behaviors or do certain things to cater to or to fit in or to appease someone else, then I'm kind of doing a disservice to myself. So, um,
But nobody wants to be an outcast. Everybody wants to be accepted by somebody.
in
Like,
some type of group. So how do you completely not give a fuck? I think it just comes with the maturity or a certain level that when you try so much to fit in and it doesn't work, at a certain point you just be like, fuck it. Like almost, you know?
but I don't even think it's a matter of not giving a fuck, right?
Mhm.
I think it's a matter of like you just shouldn't take into account every first of all, when someone says something or does something, you should take into account who the person is, like who is coming from, and like the integrity of that person. Like if that person means nothing to you and has not a leg to stand on, fuck them.
Yeah.
Like
Like their
who is
opinion
this?
doesn't matter.
Yeah, who is this person to tell you whatever? Like I don't know. They don't know you.
Mhm.
Like we all have our shit. So everyone's going to have a fucking opinion. Honestly, that's the thing. Everyone's going to have something to say. And I think that's more so how I view it. Like I'm not going to be able to please everybody. And it's not necessarily me trying to please everybody. But at the end of the day, I have to lay in bed and be okay with the thoughts and the decisions I made throughout the day. So if you can't make a decision based off that, then I don't know. I don't know, friend.
I don't know either. How
Maybe
can
try to
I
figure out her why she's so stuck on trying to people please. Like, does she
and,
really know what she want?
and get into the root and the
Yeah.
issue behind like why do you have this behavior in the first place?
Yeah. Why do you make your decisions based off what other people think?
Yeah.
Um,
Because to a certain extent I do care what some people say.
you should.
I care about especially those people that are closest to me. Like your opinions matter to me, right?
Hmm.
But Joe Schmo down the street, I could care less about what Joe Schmo says. And then to a certain extent, like I'm also a very headstrong person. So if my mom or my family or even if you feel strongly, like say you disagree with something that I'm doing, at the end of the day, I'm a grown adult and I got to learn from my mistakes. And so regardless, I can take your advice, I can take your opinion into consideration, but at the end of the day, I'm my choice.
Period.
And I think that's what you got to kind of get to the place. Like, okay, your opinion is important and it is valid and I do appreciate it. However, I'm gonna do me, and then if I fuck up, then if you love me enough, you're gonna be there to listen to it. If not, you don't want to hear it. Boundaries, I respect
Right.
it. Like,
And you
yeah,
have to also learn too when people are inserting their opinion, be like, thank you for those thoughts, but I didn't ask and I don't need your advice.
hmm,
So just unless I ask for your advice or need your opinion, like I don't need to hear it.
yeah, I agree. So let's go ahead and get into this week's topic. So if y'all don't know by now, I'm a little woo woo. I like little witchy shit, right?
Mhm.
That's not to say that I be doing that crazy shit. I just like I think astrology is interesting. I think spiritual stuff is interesting to me. And so a few years ago on one of my YouTube rabbit hole, adventures, I came across something known as shadow work. And it was very intriguing to me. I'm like, what is this shadow work? What the fuck is shadow? It sounded like something kind of scary at first. And I was like, I don't know if I need to be looking at this or whatever.
Mm.
But when I kind of like looked into it and watched a couple of videos and Googled and kind of realized what this was, I basically realized that we as people are made up of two sides essentially. We have a light side, the side that we are aware of, the side that most people know us as, and then we have what is called the shadow side, which psychologist Carl Jung described as the unconscious or disowned parts of our personality that the ego failed to see, acknowledge, and accept. And it's any aspect of ourselves that is not exposed to the light of our consciousness. So, when you think about that, it's basically all of these suppressed emotions that you don't necessarily deal with. And so you can say that that's almost like going to therapy and digging through your shit and digging through your childhood. But I like to think that shadow work is a little bit deeper than that,
Mm,
more so on like a spiritual level versus just the clinical psychology side of things, right?
mhm,
So whether or not you believe in all the woo woo or whatever, I think that even if you are, say, Christian or Muslim or whatever you choose to believe in, that you can add a spiritual note to, I think, like your therapy and your healing process. And I think that doing shadow work is one of the ways that you get in touch with that, not just the mental and the emotional side, but the spiritual side of your overall wellness,
hmm,
if that makes sense.
mhm.
Kinda? Okay. And so I wanted to have a discussion about shadow work and the shadow side. Do you have any experience or have you ever heard of this before, friend?
I've heard of shadow work before. Yes. I guess maybe I've never thought of it as a spiritual aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't think I've ever thought of it as a spiritual aspect. I've just always thought of it as just literally digging deep on those, like, so many people have triggers and everything and they don't know where it comes from, and you literally have to dig to the root of like what caused this. Not I just feel the way I feel. No, you
Mm.
don't.
There's a reason behind why you
Yeah.
feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and people don't like to dig deep. Oh, this is just a boundary for me. It's a boundary for a reason. Like, you need to dig deep into, if you're doing shadow work, I feel like you need to dig deep into, like, okay, this probably where most people I feel like should start is from childhood, because that's usually our habits and the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that fucks us up is from our childhood. Um, so start from your childhood and like literally start putting together the pieces and be like, ah, okay, this is starting to make sense. And then actually applying and working through that shit. And I'm not saying that those triggers are going to go away, but like, you now recognize like when something triggers you that, okay, I probably shouldn't react this way. Like, normally this is my reaction, but let me try to
Mm-hmm.
reverse it or whatever. So I guess that's what I always figured shadow work is.
Yeah. So, a little insert from medium.com, they posted that the shadow is the inner fragmentation that occurs within you. It's almost like having two different people who are operating in your life. And basically, the example that they give is like if you've ever met a person that's been really sweet and calm and pleasant to deal with, but something happens in a situation and they flip and they
Mm,
get triggered, and you see this whole other side to this person where they become scary or throw a tantrum or just get really angry. um, I think that you have experienced this in one of your previous relationships
mhm,
where the individual just kind of flipped, and it seemed like something very minor, but you saw a different side that you had not seen before.
mhm.
You want to kind of go into that or not?
I mean, I can. Yeah. I mean, could I have taken some accountability on my side? Yeah, there's some shit that I probably could have worked through too, but I've just felt like it was much deeper in my opinion, because the gesture and what happened was so small, and
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like if you know me and my mannerisms and things, like it's just me, right? And it's not me being
Mhm.
malicious, it's me having a good time. But I was in a setting where I should have been uncomfortable because I was around people that I didn't know. I was around all of his people. So this is me trying to have a good time and not intentionally trying to embarrass this person.
Mm.
And I guess I did something. I won't go as far as to what I did. I did something that triggered this person, and he felt embarrassed. He felt angry. And the crazy part to me was he told me no one else saw it. I was like, he told me his family didn't see it, but he was like, "You embarrassed me in front of my family. You're disrespecting me."
But literally,
And
if no one saw it, then how are you embarrassed?
he what else did he say? He also said that which put on like which made me think, "Oh, he's definitely triggered by something," because he said I didn't notice that he was angry or upset. I was like, "Okay." Like I was so off put and in shock because all this happened in the middle of a club, and
Mm.
I'm hearing this when he walks up to me. He was like, "Uh, you think we should go?" What? What are you talking about?
No,
Do
nigga,
you
I'm
think
having
we should?
fun. I'm
Yeah,
twerking. I'm throwing ass. Like, you don't want to
literally.
dance? Like,
He's like, "Do you think we should go?" I was like, "Clearly you're upset, and if you want to go, we can go."
hmm.
Like, because you asking me multiple times, "Do we think we should go?" is not going to be.
Because I'm going to say no. I want to stay. So, do you want to
Girl,
go?
there's so many things I should have done differently that I
uh,
just didn't. But anyways, I'm here and free. Um, but
did
then we
you
walk
did you
out.
say you was fuck nigga free?
I didn't, but okay. But we left the club. I was like, we're walking, and he's mad because I'm not giving a reaction. I'm literally blank staring at him. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not because I was trying to be disrespectful. It's literally I had nothing to say because I didn't know what I did wrong. And I didn't know why the reaction was so I was like,
Mm.
it was like one of those 0 to 100 moments, and like his motions, I guess he was um stirring in his emotions, and this is me getting the end of it, and I'm like, "Whoa, what is
Mm.
this?"
Yeah,
So I was blank. Like I had nothing to say. I didn't say sorry. I ain't say nothing
because
because
he
I was stuck.
exploded. Yeah.
Yeah, I was stuck. Like, what am I saying sorry for? Because I felt as if I didn't do anything wrong, and it was just a lot, and I couldn't receive it. That's the thing. I couldn't receive it because of how it was coming at me.
Mm.
Um anyway, long story short, I eventually ended things with that guy, and I get I don't know how many bouquets of flowers at my door, and he basically said I didn't need to teach you how to treat people, but I needed to figure out my triggers and work on myself, and I thank you for that.
Shadow work.
And I told him the shadow work never ends.
It don't stop. Truly, it does not.
Verbatim. I literally told him I wish I could pull up that.
Don't pull up your receipts, girl.
I ain't gonna
We
pull
don't
it
need to
up.
see them.
But
Because
my
I
final
know you got
statement
them.
was I wish you the best of luck because the shadow work never ends.
A word.
Mm.
So, what's the whole purpose of doing this shadow work? The whole purpose of doing this work is working with your unconscious mind to uncover the parts of yourself that you have repressed and that you have hidden, so that you can eventually reach enlightenment. And basically, it's not to say that you should necessarily get rid of your shadow side, quote unquote, because there are certain parts of people's shadow side that isn't always negative. And I want to kind of dive into that a bit because as a kid, say if you as a kid were very extra, very a lot,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
you were overconfident and you talked a lot and was loud, or just a kid, just being who you naturally are, and you were told by your parents that that behavior wasn't acceptable, like you're being extra, you're being too much, calm down.
Mm.
And as a kid, when you're dependent on your parents for survival, you're going to do what you have to do to please them. And so you turn off that part of yourself. You repress that part of yourself, that loud and that extraness. So you may grow up kind of being someone that's in the background instead of being in the spotlight. You kind of take a production role or something where you're not in full attention because you've been taught that that's been bad. But is that really a bad thing? Like,
Mm.
can you grow up and use those things to benefit by being loud and being out there?
I
Maybe you
think
can
that's
be
the
a,
key.
yeah. And so it's not always necessarily getting rid of your shadow side, but learning how to work with your shadow side, especially
Mm.
in the cases where it may not be something that's completely negative. Now, there
Mhm.
are parts of your shadow side that may be negative, and you need to learn how to either one, heal those, or learn how to use it in a beneficial way.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't want people to think that the whole purpose of doing shadow work is to get rid of the shadow. I think that the shadow serves a purpose, honestly. Um, there has to be yin and yang. There has to
Mm.
be light and dark. It's a balance.
Life, death.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
it's all about balance. And I think that if you let the shadow get out of whack and get out of balance, it can be a very negative thing. You can be a very toxic individual, bad person. Um, and that's why the work is so important. So you can kind of keep it balanced and keep it in check.
Mhm.
Um, okay. So, some ways to identify your shadow side or some of your traits that may be on the darker side is triggers. um like you gave the example with your previous partner, something triggered him. So something that was done or whatever could be part of his shadow that he hadn't addressed at that point yet.
Mhm.
um, Projections is
Mm.
probably the biggest and the easiest sign that you may need to do some shadow work, is if you find yourself projecting on others. I think that for me, that's the biggest one that I notice in myself,
Mm.
is if I notice that I'm putting some shit on somebody else, that I probably need to look at myself. um, and then patterns. If you keep repeating certain cycles, if you keep encountering certain behaviors, or picking the same type of partner over and over
Girl,
again,
I was about to say that.
or having the same issues in a job, just different things like that that you notice is a reoccurring thing in your life, that may be a time to kind of look and see, okay, it's something bigger. So what does your shadow side look like, friend? Have you seen any of these like triggers, projections in your own life? And if so, what?
Mhm. I've definitely projected, been triggered. Let's see what else. Patterns. Oh, yeah, all of it, child. It appears in different aspects of my life. Um, what? Oh, I thought you laughed.
That was my knuckle cracking. Sorry.
Oh, um, yeah, I'm trying to think more specifically about some things. Um,
You can't come up with no examples.
mm-mm. I'm trying to think. Well, you must got one.
I mean, I've got one, but I've said it on the show before, so I was gonna
What?
let you go.
Mm,
I think so for me, and like I said, I've mentioned this on the show before. One of mine was a projection that I was making on the Instagram girl.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it all had to do with my confidence, because I viewed this one girl in particular. I think I mentioned her name, Jazzy. It's Jazzy. Um, I thought that she was a beautiful girl, and I followed her whenever she used to do her comedy stuff. And at a certain point when she got in her career and she was kind of like taking off, she started to come across as cocky to me, or just kind
Mm,
of arrogant. And I was like, why? I didn't like her anymore because I was like, she's very arrogant. There's this air about her that I just didn't like. And so I stopped following her for a few months. And then it wasn't until later on that I realized that what she was displaying was confidence
Mm,
and her self awareness and her just her self esteem was very high, and it wasn't necessarily considered cocky, but because I lacked confidence at that time and I was struggling trying to figure out like what the hell is going on, why can't I be um confident enough in certain areas of my life, and then I realized where that was coming from. So it was definitely a projection that I was making on this person that I didn't even know, but it just seemed that way, you know.
yeah, I feel like that could go either way though, because some people are certain ways as a means to, we don't know what she going through in her life, right? So
Yeah,
it could have
exactly.
been a means to cover up some insecurities or some other stuff that she's going through. But all in all, essentially, it helped you notice like
Some things in
something
myself.
within yourself.
Yeah,
But yeah, like you don't know what that girl could have been going through. And you say it's confidence, but it could have been something else.
easily.
So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I think it could go either way. I've definitely done that before because I'm not a person who likes to be in the spotlight or a person that's like me, me. But some people are and they like the attention, or I don't know. It could go either way.
Hmm.
Ciao.
But also another one that I notice is sometimes I judge. I
Oh,
judge.
I'm definitely a judge. I judge.
Oh yeah, you do, friend.
I
You do a
judge. I
lot.
judge.
Yeah, but I think that when we do have those moments when we are kind of judgmental, then we need to stop, pause, take a look, and see what is the actual issue
Mhm.
underneath it all. Because that's not a trait that I necessarily like to have. I try to be fair and I try to give people grace. Um, but at the same time, it's just, I don't want to say it's human nature or make an excuse for it, but
I
you
think
know,
it's normal to judge because to some degrees you have to judge people for safety reasons, for a bunch of different
just having
reasons.
discernment, one,
Yes,
yes, yeah,
discernment.
uh-huh.
But things that don't affect you in your day-to-day life and stuff like that, yes, we do need to be more mindful about that. But I think judging is kind of a way for you to keep your energy right sometimes. And for safety reasons, for various different reasons. Yes, as long as I don't feel like I'm judgmental to the point where I will exclude people or like make them feel uncomfortable. If anything, I'll just remove myself, you know,
Mm,
instead of like putting it on them. If anything, I'm going to remove myself or just not have anything to do with that person. They won't even know, child.
yeah.
But mm,
So some other ways, and this is one that I kind of talked about earlier. So um, we were talking about my F buddy or whatever. And you asked why could I never be with him in a relationship? And one
oh
of the
yeah, yeah.
reasons is why I said because he really suppresses his emotions. He is very nonchalant when it comes to his emotions. Um, but that could come from somewhere. And I'm not saying this is necessarily his particular story, but
Mhm.
sometimes with men, especially black men, they get told as little boys that it's not safe to cry or man up or you can't be crying like a little girl and stuff like that. And so at a very early age, boys are taught to suppress their emotions and they push that down. And the thing about your shadow side is that each time you repress something, your nature, whatever it is, whether it's you being emotional or whether it's you being extra or flamboyant, every time you repress that, that shadow part grows bigger
Mm,
and bigger and bigger. And so as a young man, you're taught not to cry. And so naturally, as you get older, you don't show emotions. You don't express these emotions. And that shit carries over into your relationships, into pretty much every area of your life. And
mhm.
so that's just another example of what your shadow side could look like. You not being emotional or being vulnerable with anyone,
Mhm.
not even your closest friends, um, is a sign that you need to do some work.
Mhm.
And honestly, I can say that I've come across several men. Most men that I have dated have that issue where they do not know how to be vulnerable or express their emotions. And for me, that is a huge red flag. A huge red flag when you cannot, one, feel your emotions, and then two, you can't even effectively communicate your emotions.
Mhm.
So that, yeah, red flag,
I might be one of them red flags too, child.
honestly.
Girl, fuck you.
I
Girl,
kid,
fuck
I joke,
you.
I joke, I joke, I joke.
I'm working on it. I'm really working on it. I know how to express myself better than I used to, child. Because I used to, like, I definitely used to suppress my emotions. Um,
Yeah.
especially with men. Even in friendships, like if I'm feeling a certain way, I would suppress them. I would just remove myself. And I think that's a lot of times that's I don't use it for that reason anymore, but a lot of times that's why I would like isolate myself.
Hmm.
Is okay, I'm feeling a type of way. I got to remove myself.
Yeah.
So that's I guess that's how I would recover, but I don't use my isolation for that anymore. However, I do use it to recharge and get my brain together. Mm.
Well, yeah. I mean, the shadow side is responsible for doing things that you might not even necessarily understand why you do it. So maybe at that time in your life when you did have conflict or something going on, you would just remove yourself instead of actually sitting there and facing it like you
Mhm.
that was part of your shadow. You would just fall back and retreat.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if we know we have this shadow side and we know that we have these issues, do you think it's a reason in particular for you why you may not have in the past or why you're still not addressing your shadow side?
Is there a reason that I
Yeah, you personally. Is it just any reason why in the past you may not have dealt with it, or currently, if you haven't dealt with something that you know you have an issue with, is there a reason why?
I think it's just but well, one, I think it's just a habit that you created to where like I don't just am the way I am. Um that's one reason. Secondly, it's hard work. Thirdly, it's scary. And then I think the more important part is like you just have to be ready. Some people are just not ready to face the dark side. And I think that's fair and I think it's valid. And I think every person has their timing, their time. No matter how fucked up a person is, it's like they just not ready right now. And you cannot force a person to be ready because sometimes when you force people to be ready for it, that might dig them into a deeper, darker hole.
Hmm.
Um, so you have to just allow that person to be ready on their own timing. And everybody has a different time. It don't matter the age, as much as I would hope that people like our age or older are like want to fix themselves. It just don't work that way. You could be 50 years old. My grandparents, shit, they got some shadow work they need to do, but I know that ain't
Hmm.
about to happen no time soon, child. Anyways, like everybody has their own timing and you just can't it's up to them whether they want to do the work or not and whether they're ready. And that's the most important part I think for me even is just timing
Yeah,
and wanting to be ready.
it's like the saying, like if you go looking for trouble, you're gonna find it, and it might
Mhm.
be worse than what you actually thought it was.
Mhm.
And I think that's the case when it comes to doing shadow work because just being in society, living in America alone is traumatizing enough. But being a black person living in this society and having to really unpack all the layers of the day to day shit that we go through, the day to day stuff that our parents go through, and just all of that shit. When you really sit down and unpack that and look at it, it is scary, it is dark, and it is sometimes a place that people honestly may not need to go to at a certain point in their life.
Mhm.
And so that is one of the reasons why I think that a lot of people do resist doing the work and actually digging, because it is scary and you don't know what's going to happen when you start unpacking stuff. It's like them damn magicians that be pulling out them damn
Ta-da!
them damn rags and it don't stop, and you just pull it and pull it and pull it. It's like, when I'm gonna get to the end of this shit, girl.
It
God
don't
damn.
stop.
It
It
does
don't
not.
stop.
And that's the thing that I think that we have to realize, is that this work, personal growth, personal development, spiritual growth, spiritual development, that stuff is an ongoing part of life. It's always going to change. You're always going to have something to improve upon. And so, um,
Shit, you might accumulate some stuff along the way.
yes. But I think that, two, you should also realize that the work is necessary in order for you to improve your life and in order for you to grow. I think that um, knowing the work, like knowing and understanding, is very passive. You have to do something about it in order to change it and fix it. You can know very well that you have fucking issues. I think most people know what their issues are, whether they admit it or not.
I
So,
say it all the
they
time. I be like, they
know.
know. They
They
be saying it
know.
right out their mouth. They
Mm-hmm.
know, but we'll end up in the same pattern that we talk
Yeah.
about, end up with the same triggers that we talk, projection. They be knowing. They will say it out their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
see. But they got to be ready to actually do the work. And that's when I start wasting my breath, child. I done learned. I done learned.
That's when me, as a friend and a loved one, will step the fuck back and let you figure it out on your own. Honestly.
Mm-mm.
Honestly.
Mm. Anyway,
Okay.
I was just triggered.
You were triggered. And I understand why.
Mhm.
Okay. Some tips. So, how do you start this process? How does the shadow work begin? One is just simply being aware of what is hidden and then gradually healing and accepting those parts of yourself. Um,
Mhm.
so, like you mentioned earlier, the first and easiest place to start is reviewing your childhood, going back, because that's where a lot, most, if not all, of our shit comes from, is how we were raised. And you could have had the perfect childhood. You could have been raised in a household with both parents that had the income, that, a middle to higher income family, and you still have issues.
Mhm.
Like, you'll still have something that was done or said that may impact you in your adulthood. So really go back and unpack and review your childhood. Second, become aware of your shadow, and you do this by looking at those triggers, looking at those projections and patterns to see what the actual, what is your shadow side. Then next, don't shame your shadow side. It is what it is at this point.
Shame.
Shame. Ding ding. Ding ding.
We need to get that as a clip.
But yeah, don't shame it. At this point, it is what it is. And you either need to, one, like I said, learn how to embrace it, learn how to use it, or two, heal and try to not do those things.
Mm.
And that's as simple as that. Use it or get rid of it. One or the other.
Work.
Use your triggers. Use your triggers. And what I mean by it is, when you feel yourself getting there, take that moment to step back and be like, why am I so upset? Why is this bothering me? Why did
Let your
my,
soul let your soul leave your body and look at yourself.
no, seriously, why did I just go 0 to 100? Why is my blood pressure high? Why am I upset?
Child.
Use those moments.
Mhm.
Next, observe without judgment. And that's kind of falls into the category with don't shame. So when you do notice these triggers, don't judge yourself, don't be hard on yourself. you're human at the end of the day, and you are allowed to have emotions. You're allowed to get angry. The only thing is you need to be able to step back and figure out why you are feeling the feels that you are feeling.
Y'all human. I'm alien.
This bitch is ET over here. Okay. And then make peace with it. Like I said, at the end of the day, it is what it is. These were the cards that you were dealt. This is your life. Make peace with that. That does not say to just settle in that shit and just accept what it is and be like, oh, this is just how I am. This how you gonna love me or you gonna leave it kind of thing. No, that's not to say that. I'm still telling you, you need to do the work to fix these things or to heal these things. But at the end of the day, like I said, these are the cards that you were giving. So be at peace with it and make the best, do the best you can with what you got.
And do.
And
Mm-mm.
do.
Mm.
Um, and one of the ways to start doing this work is to always get a therapist. We are big advocates of having a therapist here. Please.
They supposed to dig up some shit.
They will definitely dig up some shit that you
Mm-hmm.
might not even know. So
Mm-hmm.
get a therapist, start talking about your childhood, start talking about these things and having these conversations about your relationship. So that way you can have a different perspective. Um, Spend some time alone, journal, write, do these things.
Meditate.
These are things that are beneficial in all areas of life, but definitely when you are doing shadow work, go back. If you do journal, go back and read your journals to see maybe a pattern that has reoccurred. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you really don't know, but when you go and write and you can kind of go back and read over the years and be like, damn, this was
Damn,
the
I
same
just went
shit I
through the
was.
same thing. Bitches, a spider crawling up my damn wall.
Ooh.
Got that motherfucker.
But yeah, going through takes some a long time journal. And then this is one that is big for me, but kind of reprogramming your mind. And when I say that, a lot of things are habit. A lot of
That's
things
what.
you
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things you do just purely out of habit. You may not even know necessarily why you do these things. It's just a habit. It could be something that you was taught by your parents, by a teacher, by anybody, and you just do it because, and you've never thought to step back and kind of like, why do I do this? Reprogram your mind. And
Mm-hmm.
and that can be difficult, but it's just creating new habits.
Mm-hmm.
Um and
That's
that's all
why I
that I
say it's.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I say it's hard to start it or work on it because some of it is just ingrained in you.
You
Like,
have learned these bad habits and you need to unlearn them.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna happen overnight.
Mm-mm.
People think that, like, why does this keep happening? Like, I'm aware of it. I'm trying. It's not gonna happen overnight, child. Give it grace. Give yourself grace. Give it patience. Give it plenty of application, child.
We fall down. But we get
Oh yeah.
up. Not for real though. Like
Mm-hmm.
it takes time, it takes discipline, and you really have to want these things. You have to really want to heal and work with that shadow, baby.
Mm,
Because we don't want to be darkness. We want the light.
mm. We don't
Mm,
need no paralysis demon over us.
bitch. But that's all I have. If you have some more tips you want to throw in there, feel free. I don't have anything else. We've been here for a minute, so it is time to go, bitch.
We ain't even been here that long.
Girl, we've been here an hour.
Almost.
Mm.
Anyways, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode. I'm gonna start doing this at the beginning.
Nigga, you gonna have to do it at the end too.
Well, if I do it at the beginning, it don't matter. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Unity Therapist Podcast. Please
Hey,
follow us
hey,
on at Unity Need a Therapist Pod
you
on
fuck this shit
Instagram.
up every goddamn week, my nigga.
It's a tongue twister. Email us on unitytherapistpod@gmail.com. Anyways, we'll see y'all next week. A bitch is packing.
Y'all come help us pack. Shit.
Somebody come get my stuff because I've been here all day waiting for the motherfucking movers to come here and they did not come.
Somebody come help us. We need help. I need a hand or two or three.
me some dick. Okay. All right, guys. We'll
Girl.
see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye, y'all.